Hey now, welcome to the dirty side of the track, America's leading Formula One podcast. I'm Brian, that's Rob. Um, I have the flu, so if I'm a little behind on things like I was hitting the button there to start the episode, apologies, but welcome everybody.
See, the funniest thing, twofold, is that A, that's kind of like an in joke just between me and you, really, without because no one would ever know. Because even if you do take forever to start the music, I crop it out, so no one ever knows that you took that long. But then the fact that you were laughing before you even said "Hey now,"
Well, that's
yeah.
what I want people to come in here and have a good time with us.
And we always do, and I just want to say thanks to people's reaction to what we thought was a complete lame content filler last week of our casino episode, where we just thought, oh my gosh, again we've got nobody on and we've got a filler week. Um, we've had some great reaction to that. People like saying you should do this every week. You know, coming up with these casino games to keep some interest to the races. You know, you should do it all the time. Okay, thank you everyone.
Yeah,
Um,
appreciate the feedback. It was a lot of fun, and honestly, it was a challenge. I mean, like trying to figure out who's going to finish eighth in a race before you've seen a race of the season. That is some hard stuff, man.
and the blackjack one, trying to pick the pairs to get to
Yeah,
21 is, I mean, man. Anyway, it was good fun doing it,
it's
and I'm
good
just
fun.
glad people seem to enjoy it. This week we didn't have to scrape around for content because we have listener Ben on to do 100 seconds of DRS in the quiz. We got news and social in the video vault before that, and then after it we will just quickly run through the first round of the bracket of February F1 Fantasticness. Is that the
Nailed
right
it.
order?
Don't even have
Yes.
no questions in your voice. You got it.
Okay, so let's jump into the news. Racing News 365 understands that Perez is currently in talks with Cadillac, hoping to join the paddock for 2026. So this could just be complete clickbait because obviously Cadillac are probably talking to any available driver right
Right.
now. But this one seemed to have a bit more substance in it. So who knows? I'm sure he probably is.
And as a teaser for the video vault, Valtteri is asked about this question, which we will talk about in the video of which he's asked in the video vault, which happens later. I don't. Again, I'm doing the
Fluke.
best I can over here. Like, anyway, moving on. Williams everywhere, not a drop to drink. We have so much Williams news this week. I don't understand what happened. But okay, so first off, they have a new title sponsor, Atlassian, and they're also the official technology partner. I use a lot of Atlassian products at the office, so I'm hoping that our tiny little subscription for Jira and Confluence can get me into a race at some point. I'm sure the answer is no. But they have been without a title partner since that ill-fated Rocket collaboration. Rob and I, when that dissolved, we were trying to figure out what Rocket was. I still don't
Yes.
know.
No. Do you think now they'll be able to use some of those products instead of an Excel spreadsheet to track their
Another teaser
distance?
for the video vault. I have
Oh,
insight in a breaking news coming up. And with more Williams news, Jack Villeneuve has rejoined Williams Racing as an ambassador for the 2025 season. It's Jenson Button, Jack Villeneuve, and Jamie Chadwick are confirmed as ambassadors. That's a great trio of ambassadors, right?
yeah, yeah, it really is.
I mean, like, maybe we should redo our rankings. Williams on the rise over here.
And one of them, I'm pretty sure one of them's been on the show. If only we had some kind of sound clip that was kind of at your fingertips on a soundboard.
This is Jacques Villeneuve, and you're listening to the dirty side of the track.
Look at that. It's almost like we've done this before. In addition, and again, some of this will come in the video vault, but James Vowles is also everywhere. And he's revealed that Franco Colapinto, who recently signed as a reserve driver for Alpine, and we've talked about him putting pressure on Jack Doohan's seat, or as we found his name, Doohan, um, he apparently has an agreement to rejoin Williams at some point. Vowles has revealed that they've effectively loaned him to Alpine and that he'll gain experience at the time at Alpine, but return to Williams in the future. Quote, there's a period of time whereby I hope he is racing for Alpine. That's the reason why I wanted him to be racing in 25 or 26 somewhere. But ultimately, Franco is my driver that I want back in that car. After a period of time, he'll return to Williams, end quote. Whoa! I mean, did
Hmm.
you know it was a loan? I didn't. I knew he was. I knew they liked him and didn't want to lose him, but I didn't really appreciate the fact that Vowles has got him planned for the future.
Yeah, because I mean, everyone basically said there's no way this is a loan because it's been announced as a multi-year deal. So I guess it's been set up as a multi-year loan. because, you know, all the stuff flying around of this was definitely not alone. Well, I think Vowles has really driven a nail through that one. I mean, it's from his words, from his lips. This is alone. So, okay.
I
See how that
guess.
one works out.
And actually, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, no, I was going to say, and then last bit of Williams that then allows us to segue into non-Williams news was that there were shakedown runs at Silverstone this week, which I love the name Shakedown. It just makes me think that you're going to watch a car that's kind of like almost like bouncing along on an uneven road with bits falling off it everywhere. Like, okay, we're going to run the shakedown. We have to see how much of the car is left after one lap. But no, it's not that. It's kind of a. Tried to look this up earlier. It's essentially a pre-testing test to make sure that you've gathered a bit of data so that you're ready to go into the official testing. But this isn't official testing, and basically the drivers don't really floor it or put the car through its paces. They literally just run it around and make sure it's all looking okay ahead of official testing. We had McLaren and Williams on track at Silverstone. McLaren came out in a camo livery, which, if anyone saw online, looked like my Tony the Tiger Frosties car from back in the 80s. And Williams had a
Frosties they're called Frosties, or that's a nickname for Frosted Flakes over there?
They're called Frosties in the UK.
Yeah. Okay. We call them Frosted
Frosties.
Flakes.
Yeah, Frosted Flakes. Like, everything has to be so literal over here. It's like
We have a flake, and it has been frosted.
Yes, I'm not wearing glasses right now. I'm wearing eyeglasses, just in case the phrase glasses wasn't enough to work out what I was wearing them over. You know, it could be any glasses. Anyway, that's Americans and their literal naming of everything. Where was I? Williams, a one-off special livery, because obviously the big proper livery reveal is that the big F1 75-year shenanigans that are coming up, but it didn't really look like a one-off livery. It just looked like last year's, but with a new sponsor on it. So whatever. It's those two cars have had the internet in meltdown in the F1 spheres of everybody trying to look and see if they can see new shapes on side pods or new bits and bobs or all this kind of stuff, and trying to see if they can read anything into these before we see them in real testing. So anyway, I cut you. You were about to say something. I think more Williams, was it? Or?
It was actually, yeah. The last still Williams. So it wasn't a video. I mean, it was from a video, but the quote is the important part. James Vowles, offered it up himself. We don't use an Excel spreadsheet anymore. The big change is we're using modern day tools that are the benchmark for what we need to be doing. And then he went on to explain, basically we call ERP, MLP, PLM, the systems used to know what parts you have, where they are, and what the materials are for. And the article did a good job explaining what these are. ERP, which I was familiar with, Enterprise Resource Planning. MRP, Material Requirements Planning, could have figured that out. PLM, I probably wouldn't have gotten, although it's obvious, Product Lifecycle Management. They have real systems now at Williams. Look at them.
Do they, or they just named the tabs on the spreadsheet?
The best part is, when this broke, I found it on Reddit, and God bless Reddit. The first comment is, I'd like to have beef. They didn't have 20,000 cells. They probably had 20,000 rows. As an Excel power user, there's a big difference. 20,000 cells I can manage. 20,000 rows I couldn't. Agreed.
Okay. And then last week we had the Super Bowl, and everyone was eager to look at all the different commercials, adverts, whatever you want to call them, that would be playing. But one of them was in there, and it was the preview of Brad Pitt's upcoming film F1. And I thought we were going to get cheesy voiceovers and sort of all these different shenanigans going off. I think that's the second time I've used the word shenanigans this episode.
Drink.
It wasn't. It was just footage we didn't even get any dialogue. It was just footage from the film, and I gotta say, it's already got me split. That the on-track action looks amazing. You wouldn't expect anything less from the people behind kind of the Top Gun and those kind of films. But I'm just thinking the off-track action is looking like we're going to be dialing the cheese factor up to 11.
You think? No.
Yeah, I do. I can just already see it coming. I'm already starting to get, I can feel an oncoming bout of cringing. I can just feel it. I can feel my shoulders tightening. But I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt. I'm obviously going to go and watch it, see what it's like. See if maybe I can coax my neighbor Jim to go along and watch it with me, and then we'll see. I just right now, I don't know what it is. I can't put my finger on it. I'm thinking on track good, off track bad.
Rob's rant predicting a off track cheese affair blunder in F1. News at 11.
And then last one in the news is that according to an article I was reading, they said that ESPN have made a big blunder. that they had a window where they had exclusive negotiation period with F1 to renew the broadcasting rights here in the States. But it said here that sources reveal that the sport will now be looking for a significant boost in its broadcasting deal because we're out of the window that ESPN had exclusive negotiation rights, and now you've got all the mainstream services like Netflix and others are all going to start piling in. Even NBC might come for it as well. So ESPN might not be showing F1 here in the States this season, or it might be next season.
Next season.
I didn't write the year down. So
yeah, next year. I guess we'll find out. I wonder who the source was. Was it? You think it was Nate? You think he'd had a couple pints down at the bar and he's like just making it up? Friend of the show, Nate Saunders.
Or let the cat out of the bag when he shouldn't have. He's just, I might have to jump ship next year because we're not going to have it anymore. Oops.
We are of course joking. We love Nate. We miss him. We got to get him back on. All right, well, let's open the vault because there actually were some great videos this week that arrived that we want to talk about. So it is time for the video vault to open. All right. If you remember, last week I talked about a behind the scenes with Max Verstappen driving a Honda car. This time, behind the scenes, Yuki Tsunoda drives a Honda Indy car. Honda Racing US channel, 7 minutes. It was fun to see. Again, everyone always talks about the similarities between IndyCar and F1 just because they're, open-wheeled, single-seaters. And they wanted to kind of talk about the difference. But Yuki actually highlighted some of those. Not a ton, but a little bit of what's different from his car to this. I enjoyed it very much. 7 minutes. Check it out. Second, and this is the teaser from before, Valtteri Bottas opens up on his role at Mercedes this season on the Sky Sports F1 channel. It's 5 minutes. I did like this one. It felt very optimistic. Like they asked him, point blank, do you have an out in your contract if someone's looking for a driver? Could you go pursue it? And he, Valtteri kind of ducked it a little, but basically said yes. And then he said, have you been talking to Cadillac? And he basically gave the informed answer to the Checo one above, which was, we've talked, but they're kind of busy setting up the team right now, and they're going to get more focused on drivers, in the future. And we'll see if there's any interest at that point. So anyway, the rest of it was excellent. It was a great interview to hear about his role at Mercedes, the role he's anticipating taking with Kimi and with George and their history. So check it out if you like. Lewis Hamilton's first days in Ferrari, behind the scenes. A lot of behind the scenes here. I didn't notice that as I was doing this. Ferrari channel, 9 minutes. Basically, they always say, don't do drinking games where you're going to drink too much. Like when you watch Drive to Survive, don't drink every time Will Buxton says something obvious, right? So when you're doing this Lewis Hamilton video, do not take a shot every time he shakes a hand because you will drink 4 million shots. This is basically, they should rename this, Lewis Hamilton greets everyone at Ferrari with a firm handshake. That's the whole 9 minutes, basically. It's insane. They show behind the scenes him driving the car, meeting people, but it's just, go watch it and someone count for me. Tell me how many handshakes. It's insane. And it wouldn't be a bumper crop video vault if I didn't have Lando Norris, A Day in the Life with Hilton on the Hilton channel. This is fresh. These are all from this week. 13 minutes. It's way too long. It is way too long. And I watched the whole thing and I'm dumber for having done it. It's basically a commercial or an advert or whatever you want to call it, like we already covered. But if you like Lando or Hilton or men putting bathrobes on top of their current clothes and then laying in a dry tub, then check it out. And if that's not your cup of tea, then feel free to skip it. And then finally, the biggest news of the video vault, the pièce de résistance. Esteban Ocon just started his YouTube channel today, this morning. Ooh. He launched it this morning, his own channel. I just started following it. He launched a video with it. 46 minutes long.
So, sorry, I think my headphones just broke there, Brian. I thought you said that he put a video on that was 46 minutes long. Or did it skip a beat and you said it's 4 to 6 minutes long?
46. I looked at the length and didn't watch a second. I'm like, nope, waiting for the 10 minutes or less versions of any of these things.
Oh my
preferably less than that. Esteban, it's YouTube, brother. It's 46 minutes is the length of an hour show with commercials. It's a movie. That is too long. So anyway, with that, we're closing the video vault on the big Ocon news there. By the way, there are 2,000 subscribers, and I am one of them. I expect some free swag.
I'm sure you'll get it, but you probably only got it where you had to scan the QR code at the end of the
47th minute.
And they only gave that away to the first 200 people that watched, so unlucky. I'll tell you something that won't be 46 minutes long. This segue as we say hello to listener Ben on 100 Seconds of DRS.
Box.
Okay, it's time for a guest again. We've got another listener to come on from our Discord, listener Ben. Confused Brian big time because he said, "Is this your friend Ben that's coming on?" I said, "Yeah." Well, the Ben we had on last time. So he's just coming on to do the quiz, not DRS. No, it's another Ben. I've got another friend called Ben. So without further ado, welcome to the Dirty Side, Ben.
Hello, thank you for having me.
And it's great you're here. Thank you for doing this. We really appreciate it. I still can't believe people are friends with Rob voluntarily, and I know we kind of joked about that before, but do you have any embarrassing stories of Rob that you can share with us, Ben?
Not really. I mean, literally, we are. Our sons were friends, so we were kind of forced into each other. And I think you work with Rob, possibly.
I did. Yeah, I did.
You know what he's like. He just comes over and talks to you, and he doesn't stop talking.
Correct.
And if he finds an avenue that he knows that you like, that's it. You're done. So,
That's so
Sunday
true.
mornings we're literally spent talking about Formula One. What's happened?
That is so great. You summed it up really well, man. That's actually perfect.
You do know there's a phrase called pop kettle black, Brian, where like you voluntarily asked me to start a podcast. This wasn't even my idea.
Right. And so with that, let's do the 100 seconds of DRS with Ben so we can learn a little more about him and then chat. So Rob, are you going to do the timing for me?
Yes, I am, and I completely forgot about it, so let me bring my stopwatch up. Okay, ready? Yep.
Ben, are you ready for the slowest 100 seconds of DRS on the dirty side?
Oh, and before we start this, Ben, I had a little apology to make, which I didn't make on air last time. So I gave Brian big abuse for doing the slowest start to a 100 seconds of DRS ever. And then when I heard the episode back, it wasn't at all. No, it wasn't. It was my internet lagged, and on my end, Brian did nothing for 5 seconds, and then asked the first 2 questions, the fastest I've ever heard anybody ask a question. So it was just internet lag. So sorry, Brian. There we go.
That's all right. And that might be the first time he's ever apologized to me on the dirty side. So
And the last time. Okay, right. So here we go. 100 seconds of DRS in 3, 2, 1, begin.
Best young driver in F1.
Piastri.
What's your favorite cheese?
Brie.
Is it pronounced GIF or GIF?
GIF.
Mario or Luigi?
Either.
Okay. Best racing movie of all time.
Oh, God. Days of Thunder.
Yes, I will take that because I love it. If you were in the pit crew, what tire would you change?
Oh, front right.
Favorite non-motorsport sport?
Football.
Do you sleep in or are you up early?
Sleep in.
Any lucky superstitions?
Nope.
Tires interesting or not?
Interesting. Definitely.
How about DRS, good or bad?
I like it. It's done something better.
What's your favorite track?
Obviously Spa, but I would say old school Hockenheim is good as well.
Oh, wow, I like this. What's your favorite food?
Pizza.
What's my favorite food? Exactly, you don't know. Wet race or dry race?
Drying race.
Oh, we'll have to dig into that one a little bit more. What is it about F1 you enjoy the most?
I think the whole thing, the spectacle, the strategy, the team stuff. And motor racing just in general.
Batman or Superman?
Batman.
And coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Nice. What's your first memory of F1?
Sitting watching it at my uncle's house. It must have been about 92, I think.
Wow.
And time. There we go. Look at that.
So
I think you shocked everybody in the world there, Brian, by not starting with what was the first poster on your bedroom wall. There was
I wanted to mix it up a little bit.
What was it, by the way, Ben?
It was the Michael Jordan from the dunk contest when he did it from the free throw. You know, the one where he's like that.
Yeah. But I actually know exactly that poster. It's as I sit here just north of Chicago, we still talk about Jordan like he played yesterday, even though it was a long time ago. So tell me about the at your uncle's watching it, and then your enjoyment of Hockenheim. I'd be curious, like what tickles your fancy when you look at a
Yeah,
track?
so I mean that is literally my earliest memory of watching Formula One. My uncle was quite, he liked motorsport and stuff like that. He raced bikes when he was younger, and I just remember sitting there one Sunday, bored out of my behind, just going, oh, God. And I can't remember what circuit it is, but yeah, that was just for me. I was like, okay, that's my first memory. But then what really got me into Formula One was when Senna died. Um,
Yeah.
that was just that got me, that hooked me. I was like, Christ, they can die doing this, and then I think I watched most probably every single race for about 10 years nonstop after that. So
Wow.
Wow.
and Hockenheim for me, I grew up in Germany. I spent 4 years in Germany, so I just have real memories of seeing them drive on telly. It is, but through the forest, the really
Yeah.
fast, into the chicanes, just some really mental races there. So yeah, for me, that's it. I like
I
it.
have two questions following that up, so I'm boxing Rob out for a second. The first one is I totally know what you're talking about. Seeing it through the forest, like go with the trees. Do you believe that all these, like the big push now to all these street circuits, is there a type of person, and maybe they're all listening and they love it, that says this is as good as that? You know what I'm saying? Like the buildings, the different type of scenery, or is it just a concrete jungle that is not as
Concrete jungle
interesting?
to me.
Yeah.
To be fair, it's kind of brought back the jeopardy a bit into it
Yeah.
because all these other races, you got the massive open car parks either side of the circuit. So if you go too deep, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, there's not a
The
lot of
walls,
gravel
the walls
runoff.
yeah, exactly. The walls give you the jeopardy, and that's kind of like the old school mentality of grass and gravel. If you hit it, you're done.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I kind of, some of them are gimmicks, but then some of them are good. So I'm a bit half and half, like Singapore. I love to go and watch it, but I hate watching the race. It's awful. Telly.
So as I said, I had two. My last one, just because you kind of got me going here. When you watched all those years, and now, have you had a handful of drivers who you've really enjoyed? Are you like and if this isn't a question on here, Rob, we should add it. Are you a driver person or a team person?
Yeah. So you asked this last week, and I was trying to think like what I am. I think I'm a driver person, actually, sort of contrary to Rob. Excuse me, because I've kind of followed different drivers around that hop from teams. Like I was a Schumacher fan. I grew up in Germany when he'd just gone to Ferrari, and we went through
Oh,
the
wow.
horrible years when nothing happened, and then he just won. And then Hamilton come on the scene, and I've just followed Hamilton ever since. And now you've got like Lando, and I know he used to be in McLaren, but I'm like, okay, he's like the next upcoming British guy. I like it. Button when he was around, he was all over the show. So I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm more like a British driver kind of follower with my Michael Schumacher hat as well. but honestly, I think as Rob said, British drivers back in the 90s couldn't stand them. Could
Really?
not stand them. Damon Hill whinged.
So you weren't a Nigel Mansell guy either, then?
Well, I was a bit too young for Mansell. I
Yeah.
kind of started watching just as he had finished.
Just
So I'm a
finishing,
bit gutted
okay.
about that. So yeah, for me, yeah, I couldn't stand it until Button, and Button sometimes he used to whinge a bit, but I don't know, just they used to annoy me. But now the current crop, they're quite good. They're
Yeah.
quite good.
Where did you stand on David Coulthard? I know he's Scottish, not.
Nah. So because I was a Schumacher fan, Hakkinen and Coulthard were just
True.
like, and then they did that thing in Melbourne where they agreed who got to the first corner first would win the race, and he went in the pits and let him. I was like, I'm done.
Did have a very large chin,
He
though,
did.
jawline. Big,
I thought he was
huge
actually.
jawline.
I thought he was a better pundit than he was sort of like. I liked him more as a pundit than a driver.
Yeah, I always think we were saying this the other week that it's a shame that some of those drivers, especially in the late 90s, early 2000s, we probably never really got to know because we weren't in the social media or we weren't in the TV microphone, the paddock with all the kind of people milling around and getting instant interviews. Literally, drivers just sort of disappeared out the back and off they went. They might do a quick soundbite interview, but probably only if they're on the podium. So there's a whole raft of people we probably never really got to know properly, which is a
like
little
Eddie
bit of a
Irvine.
shame.
Eddie Irvine was an absolute legend. It was like, it was mental.
Yeah, I mean, Coulthard, by the way, just something that you talk about his chin and all that. I still don't believe how many people don't know, and it's not talked about, that he was in a plane crash where people died, and he survived and went on to race like the next weekend or a weekend later. That's the most mental fact about a driver that no one ever talks about. The guy is like walked out of a flaming wreck of a plane and drove a car. He's a Superman. But anyway. Sorry. As an aside.
Wait to just kill the conversation there.
Yeah, I know. I got flu brain going here. I'm catching over the flu. I apologize. It just made sense to me.
So you kind of mentioned then that you're driver person, not team person, and then you threw Lando out there. So we have to talk about last year, and then what your feelings are for this year. So last year,
and best young driver, by the way, was Oscar.
Oh,
he said. So
yeah, because I see Oscar as younger than Lando. You know, Lando's been in about 3 years now, is it? 3?
I think maybe 4.
Maybe 4. Yeah. You know, Oscar's really young. And thinking as though, because my son watches F1 religiously as well, but he also watches F2 and F3. And
wow.
He gets up and watches it. I don't know, you guys wouldn't, because it's in the middle of the night for you guys, but for us, it's like 8 o'clock in the morning. It's not too bad. And he watches all the young drivers come up, and he was like, Oscar, he's good. He's really good. And then he saw him last year, and obviously, the year before he was a bit meh, and then this year he's kind of come on, and I think he's got the most potential. Kimi, yes. We don't know yet. It's too early, and he did really bad in the F2 last season, but the car wasn't too good. Behrman was in the same car, didn't do very well, so they're both quite good drivers. I think you mentioned it last week, the rookie this season is going to be the really interesting thing, I think, throughout. If we get a title map battle, that will obviously be interesting, but this will be like the undercurrent. What happens with all the rookies?
Yeah. So then, when we look at Lando last year, 2 questions for you. Did he seize his opportunity, or was it never really there to be seized? And then, do you think he learns anything from last year to really have a crack at it this season?
I liken Lando to a button. I think if everything is right for Lando, he will nail it. If it's not quite right, Button used to do this. If the car didn't feel quite right to him, he wouldn't be able to get to it. He wouldn't have to get the most out of it. And I think Lando last year, he bottled it in some respects. They're throwing away the lead on the first lap in like 4 times or something like that.
Yeah.
You can't do that. And that's like the ruthlessness. It's like, yeah, he's a nice jokey guy. He needs to be more killer. You look at Verstappen, you look at Vettel, Hamilton, Rosberg, they didn't take any prisoners. And Lando, he needed to be a bit more like that. Maybe he learns from that, and that he gets more ruthless, and then you see that big change in him this year. I don't know.
Yeah, so me and Brian guested on another pod this week, the midfield pod, and we had this kind of very discussion. And I was saying, probably alienating all the Lando McLaren fan base, but I said out of the pair, I just see more killer instinct in Oscar. And when Oscar can get to the consistency levels of Lando, I think Oscar beats Lando. And I said over at Ferrari, I can see the same thing happening. I think Charles needs the car to be perfect. And when it's not, he cries about it and can't seem to just drag that car around the track. Like Max last year dragged that Red Bull to places it shouldn't have been. So it's going to be interesting, the dynamic this year, to see what the presence of Lewis does. Mm-hmm. So what I said when we were over with the guys in the midfield was, if Charles can use that, almost lean into the Lewis mentor thing and learn off him the killer instinct or the how to win a championship, and maybe this is the year for Charles. However, if Lewis beats him over the first couple of races and starts establishing himself as team number 1, I don't know how Charles wrestles back team number 1, the leader of the team there, and suddenly it's a Lewis team, not a Charles team. So that one's going to be really interesting to watch.
I don't know. I mean, what did you think about Lewis last year?
Not great, but the car, me and Brian kept saying as well, the car wasn't fantastic. The car, George didn't nail it.
He didn't nail it, but he did better than him. And he shouldn't be. I don't know. The first time ever, I was disappointed in Lewis last year.
But how much has he also dialed out a little?
Maybe dialed out, yeah.
I think I was disappointed too. And when we got a lot of messages from Toto, I think this is the one. I may have the wrong one here.
Lewis, the car is bad. We know. Please drive it.
You don't have to beg the driver to drive the car.
I mean, look. I don't like Alonso, but look at what he does in a car.
Yeah.
You know, he just cracks on and he gets the best out of it. And I know he's got Stroll as a teammate, but maybe
his teammate's got training wheels
and Logan Sargent. I don't know.
But no, that's a great point on what'll happen there with Lando, and I am curious too as well. And I think he does need that killer instinct, and I think we'll find out if he has it. But your point on Oscar is well taken. I got one sound that I have to play because Oscar is the silent assassin, right? Do you remember when he won the race and the post-race radio? This was him celebrating his second race win. Yes! That was it. He whisper yelled yes. That's it. I love that guy. He could be, when he gets all of the talent in alignment, he could be like another Max where he's just kind of out there doing his thing and get out of my way, I'm going to go win this race. I don't know. I guess we'll find out.
We'll see. I think so. I mean, you look at him with his contract stuff and that, you can see he wants to succeed.
Yeah.
And I see good things from him. And he was really good in F2. So
who do you have as your pre-season favourite for the driver's title?
You can't write Verstappen off. I mean, the Red Bull was looking better at the end of the season, let's be honest. Obviously, some of the rule changes with the flexi wings and stuff like that, that's gonna hit Ferrari, I think, and McLaren. I think the Red Bull, they were showing that backward upper trend. Verstappen was thereabouts, and you give that guy a sniff at a car that can be just as good as the others, he will out-deliver it. I mean, he is, I think, the benchmark now for what a driver needs to be and needs to have.
Yeah.
It's gutting because 21 still hurts. But
maybe you called it. I'll just say this: when your point on Lando, things have to be right. McLaren was in pretty good form as well at the end of last year, right? So they can come out of the gate early, and you said, you made a little bit of a Button, to sort of parallel. When Button won in 2009 with Braun, they came out of the gate really fast. And obviously the double diffuser, and maybe there's a flexi-wing version of that or something that McLaren can ride that's legal and up to the limit and good. Maybe they can build that sort of lead and see if he can hold on to it through the year. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe there'll be a parallel for a Lando championship.
I think also though, but in that season, you look at Barrichello, he got really unlucky in the first sort of 5 races, and that put Button ahead. And that's why he won the championship essentially. So, and I think Rob mentioned last week. I think Lando and Oscar, they will take points off each other.
That's true.
Max has got no competition. Let's be honest. So
you're not putting Liam up on the top 3 of the drivers' title.
If he was any good, he would have. When he came in and did his whatever 6 races it was like the end of the back of the season, he would have trounced him, and he didn't. So, look what Verstappen did in that car, a long time ago.
Yeah.
He would just, it was mental. So, but that's what you got to be, and I think that's to be a driver's champion. You look at the past candidates, bar maybe Rosberg, they've all been really, really bloody good.
Yeah.
Like a step ahead, and ruthless with it.
Ruthless, yeah, and also it'd be interesting to see what happens to Max after he kind of is maybe caught or moves away from Red Bull, because there's been lots of these villains that we all love to hate, that as soon as they're not the one up winning every race anymore, they kind of become the fan favorite. Look,
yes, Seb.
Everyone holds on to Seb as being the nicest guy in the world. People hated him for 4 years while he was winning everything.
21. I couldn't remember watching that and just being like, I can't believe he's just done that. I can't believe he's just done it. Anyway.
It's like Alonso now is looked at as this kind of, old father time, the old wily racer. There was a time when nobody liked him as well. It's just like, if you
not even that long ago.
I still don't like him. I think I only liked him when he was back in his second stint at McLaren, and he sat in the chair in Brazil.
Yeah.
GP2 engine.
Maybe 2 years ago, Rob and I closed the season and we did a recap. And I realized most of my favorite moments and most of my favorite things were Fernando things. and it was so hard for me to come to grips with the guy who I really didn't have an affinity for was basically my favorite driver. And I joked on the Discord at the time I was going to have to go out and buy some Kimoa, whatever, stuff. I didn't, thankfully. But, I always had trouble liking him. But now everyone seems to think he's fantastic. So, I don't know. I guess we'll see.
He's in the right team.
Yeah. He's been making a lot of money, as you said, babysitting Lance. So.
Yeah. I mean, like, everyone's saying that Verstappen, the rumour mill, the top is obviously Verstappen going to Aston Martin in 26.
That'd be awesome.
I hope so, and I hope they're still a midfield horrible team.
Oh, man.
I'm not bitter.
I was going to say, and on that bombshell, I think it might be time to fire up the quiz and see just how far through this you can get then. Apparently, it was viciously hard the other week, so I tried not to flex and go back the opposite way, so I don't think this is a breeze through to 15. In fact, I've got no idea. You can tell me afterwards whether this was hard or easy. So are you ready to take on the quiz?
Yeah. What's the lifelines again?
Sorry,
yeah. Let me do the music. Let me get us the music. Rob will explain it all after we get through the music, which is amazing, and I found it already. That's why I want to make sure. All right.
Okay, yes. So we've got 15 potential questions, banks of 5 that get harder as we go. The 3, we shouldn't call them lifelines, we'll get in trouble. The 3 strategies that you can deploy, are box, which instead of changing tyres is changing the question. So if you hear a question you don't like it, you say box, and I'll give you a different one. 2-stop strategy, you get 2 bites at the cherry. So if you're kind of split between 2 answers, you can play that one and then have 2 goes at answering it. And then activate DRS, where you can skip the question altogether, but that can't be played on the 15th one because that would be stupid. Okie dokie, right. And I'm hoping that you're not the first person to get something wrong in the first 5, and B, that you don't need to use a strategy in the first 5 either, because that would just be really, really embarrassing, but no pressure. Right, okay, question number 1. Which team existed for 1 season? Ferrari, McLaren, Braun GP, or Lotus?
Braun GP.
Well done. Whew, straight out of the gate, pressure off, there we go.
Nailed it, Ben.
Question number 2. The Vegas circuit is said to look like an upside-down what? A pig, a roulette table, a sphere, or a blackjack table? Pig. Oh, yes, pig indeed. Okie dokie. Question number 3. Who do we use as a citation for being America's #1 Formula One podcast? Forbes magazine, ESPN, Apple Podcasts, or Brian's mum?
Brian's mum.
I love the fact she uses a question and answer to a question.
Yeah, she is. She'll have to actually try to work out how to listen to the podcast.
I'm going to see her in a couple weeks. I'll play it.
There we go. Right.
Yeah, she won't find it on the radio.
Okay. Question 4. Red stripe tires are referred to as what? Turbo tires, grippy fasts, softs, or jam donuts?
Softs.
Grippy fasts.
Grippy fasts. I don't know where I come up with these things. Right. Brian's already mentioned this, so well done for giving away things, but I think this was easy anyway. Question 5.
Look ahead.
Braun GP's secret weapon was A, Barrichello's smile, B, the double diffuser, C, button sense of style, or D, pit lane Paul?
The double diffuser.
Pit lane Paul's going to be disappointed that he wasn't their secret weapon, but yes. Okay, question number 6. Hamilton became the first driver to win a race after going past the 300 race mark, but where did he get that win? Japan, Belgium, Britain, or Baku?
I have absolutely no idea.
Hamilton fan, and we talked about it so much. I thought this was easy.
Say that again.
So Hamilton became the first driver to win a race after going past his 300 race starts, and we talked about it for a long time. That is he ever going to win a race after his 300th start? So where did he get that win? Was it Japan, Belgium, Britain, or Baku?
I'm going to go Britain.
Yes, well done. Look at that. You see, you had a little wobble. And then you got it. Right. Another one that requires you to have been listening to the pod. Who did Rob see in the Canadian pit lane that made his voice go up 3 octaves? A, George, B, Jensen, C, Valtteri, D, Jack Villeneuve.
Jack Villeneuve.
And this is the one that pit lane Paul takes the mick out of me constantly for screaming the name in a very high-pitched voice. So
I'm sure it's Jack Villeneuve.
You going to
No?
lock in Jack Villeneuve?
DRS.
Brian, you are not supposed to shake your head when somebody gives an answer. I know you want to see people move
do
on.
that.
But...
There's no proof of it.
Okay, so you're DRSing it. You're skipping.
Yeah, because
right.
I would go Jack, but I'm not sure. I remember you talking about it. I can't think of who it was.
Brian, do you want to do the impression now that we've DRS'd it? And
Oh my God, it's George Russell.
It's George. It wasn't George, wasn't it?
George!
God.
And Paul and I
Right,
looked
okay.
at each other, and we almost spit out our bear claws.
Right, okay, so we're going to let that slide.
It was
Brian
early.
intervening from
We
the
do that for
sidelines.
everybody in the first, 6 or so.
Do we? Okay, right. Question number 8. You might need to see the news this week. Science has proposed that the fan-voted nickname for him and Alex be tweaked from Carbon to what? A. Carbonara, B. Carbono, C. Carbon Neutral, D. Carbonzai.
I have not seen that, so...
Two
What?
lifelines.
What are the two I've got left?
You can swap it out for a different question, box, or you can do two-stop strategy and have 2 bites at the cherry. Did you even know that their official nickname was going to be Carbon?
I knew it was Carbon, because I really liked it. I thought that was perfect.
Okay, yeah. So Science and Alex sat down this week, and he was like, I want to give a tweak already, and he's put forward one of those 4.
What were the options?
Carbonara, Carbono, Carbon Neutral, or Carbonzai.
Can I do 50-50, because I've got no idea.
Well, that would be a lifeline from a different quiz that we definitely didn't rip off.
Yeah.
So, do you want to play your 2-stop strategy?
Yeah, 2-stop strategy. Yeah.
Okay, so you're gonna be able to answer twice here. Give me your first one. Which one are you gonna go after?
The Carbonzai.
Ooh, no, that one's wrong.
Okay.
So it's either Carbon Neutral, Carbonara, or Carbono.
Carbono.
Yes. Yeah, I don't quite why he's added an O to the end of it.
Exactly.
I really don't know.
Oh, because they always call him Albano. And so that's
okay,
the reason why. I had the music ready for you, Ben, but I'll hold it. So good job. Yeah, you did.
He's
Good
got
job.
one more strategy. He can still do box at this point. That's all we got left. Okay. Oh, you might need it. See, maybe I have gone too hard this week. This season for Ferrari... Sorry, when Lewis drives for Ferrari this year, what season is he entering? His 15th, his 17th, his 19th, or his 21st?
I'll say that again. What are the options?
His 15th season, his 17th season, his 19th season, or his 21st season?
I think it's 17th.
It's 17th, and the survey says... He'll be going into his 19th. He's completed 18 seasons in Formula One. Yeah.
Christ, because I always remember, I remember watching him do his mental race at Silverstone, where he lapped pretty much everyone in the wet. And Seth was a baby, so he was, that's my son, sorry, for people who didn't see that. And yeah, he was a baby, and I remember watching it, and I was like, oh my God, I'm just trying to keep this kid quiet. So I kind of do it how many years is it? Oh, well. Anyway, that was a shocking result.
Oh, never mind. But maybe I went a little bit too hard this week. I thought I'd made it easier after being accused of being so hard last week. There were no stupid liters of fuel or any of that kind of
Michael
stuff.
still.
So I went back to knowledge.
Yeah, Michael, you gave hard ones, and Ben, you gave hard ones.
Okay, well, maybe we're raising the bar a little bit for coming on and doing the quiz. You see.
See, Ben, like I said, how could you be friends with this guy? That's the point. That's exactly what I said it from the beginning. I say it at the end. It still stands.
So how many points was that then?
9.
Oh God.
You didn't even, you didn't get to the killer set. Actually, maybe look at. I would read them out to you, but then that means that next time somebody comes on, I'm gonna have to create another set of them. It's hard enough trying to come up with them as it is. So.
Exactly.
Yeah. There was only one. I think the 15th question is another one very similar to the liters of fuel question. That would have been an absolute shot in the dark if you'd got there, I think. But never mind. It's all good.
Oh, I'm gutted now.
Oh,
I thought I knew.
What a downer.
Don't be. You did great. I wouldn't have gotten that anyway. So Excellent job. Now, as we look forward to the season in front of us, like, what do you think will happen, kind of as we get ready to launch the first half? Who do you think will be the driver's champion? I know it's not a thing, of the first half. Think anyone comes out of you said Max overall, but do you think he takes it early? You think someone else builds on momentum?
I honestly don't know. I think this could be one of the closest seasons that we've had even in a long, long time.
I hope you're right.
I honestly, and I hope I'm right as well, because last season was so good with that kind of, after the first 5 races, it got good.
Totally right.
But maybe that was just because Max wasn't doing well. But I think there was a season where we had like 5 people in it with like 4 races to go or something like that, I think it was. And that was just like an awesome season. I'm hoping it's going to be like that. I'm hoping we're going to get, we were lucky last season. We got lots of different race winners, but Max was just too far ahead to make it interesting. If you've got, I hope the Ferrari is better. Honestly, it's just, they need to do something with that because they've missed the boat so many times. I think the McLaren will be strong. The rule changes are very, very, very limited this year. So they're going to come out strong. Max will always be strong, regardless. He was still putting it in P2,
dragging it around himself,
and
Fred Flintstoning it.
And then Perez is back in 18th, 19th. So he'll be thereabouts. But I think it's going to be wide open. I really do, and I hope it is, because that's good for the sport. It's good for talking about it. It gets more people, passionate about it. I think the rookie bit is going to be really, really interesting.
Yeah.
Isaac Hadjar, that boy's interesting on the radio. So
then they put him with Yuki.
Yeah.
I mean, at least they can't talk to each other.
But I think that's going to be interesting. I think Paul summed it up really well. I thought he said that someone was going to retire, didn't he? He thought was it Lewis was going to retire after the season? I can't remember. He said
Alonso.
He
said he thought Alonso was going to retire, because I was like, really? Would you actually retire before you get your hands on an Adrian Newey car? I don't know. But,
I think the silly season is going to be interesting. As soon as that kicks off, like that's going to be boom. It's going to be like cascade. So,
well, I hope everything you say comes true, and I hope that all the teams keep developing their 25 cars through as far as they can, so it keeps it interesting, as opposed to bailing out and kind of punting the end of the season to get ready for 26. So I hope that happens.
Well, or if it starts off that everyone's really, really, really close, then they should say no upgrades allowed this season. Everyone focus on your 2026 cars.
Just ban it. Yeah. No, that
ban
would be
upgrades. Absolutely brilliant to have you on, Ben. It's been great to see you again. And it's been great to chat F1, even though apparently I chat too much, so I'll let Brian take us out.
No, I'd just like to say thank you to you guys. You make my Monday mornings to work more manageable, let's just say that.
Well, that's super kind,
on
Ben.
The pod.
Super kind. It was nice to meet you. It was great to have you on. And if anyone else wants to do the 100 Seconds of DRS or take on the quiz, as always, please let us know. Ben, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Ben, thanks again. And as I just said in the recorded version, please, if anyone else wants to come on to the 100 Seconds of a DRS or the quiz, let us know on socials, wherever you can find us. And obviously our website has links for all those, www.dirtysideofthetrack.com. Ben, that was awesome. Thank you very much.
And now I'm just now I'm starting to self-doubt, when I create these questions, and that's apparently 2 weeks in a row, or not 2 weeks in a row, but 2 quizzes in a row where I've been a little bit too difficult with the questions. I would like to think that maybe I was too generous with the questions to start with, and now we've found our groove as a real quiz. But I'm sorry, Ben. It is what it is, as they say. But anyway, let's move on to looking at the biggest thing happening in the world in February. Not Valentine's Day, but February F1 Fantasticness. We are at the end of round 1. We kind of are. There's a vote that's open, and it actually looks. We'll talk about it when we get there. But I just wanted to quickly go through and just talk about the matchups that have happened and whether we were shocked by the results. So let's go down the left-hand side of the bracket. First up, we had Braun GP against Jordan 7-Up. And I honestly thought Braun GP was going to give 7-Up a run for its
Me
money.
too. Me too.
Yeah?
100% agreed, even though I'm currently drinking a 7-Up. I completely thought that Braun GP livery is iconic in its simplicity and the color scheme, the white and the yellow. I was sure we'd have a close matchup. 79% for 7-Up. And I have no problem with 7-Up. It's a great livery.
It's a great looking car. Yeah, I just thought it was going to be close.
Agreed.
And then we moved into the second matchup, which was the Lotus John Player Special from 77 against the Renault from 2004. And again, well, no, actually, this one I thought there might be a landslide, but then I thought there might be a lot of Alonso fans that loved that Renault, and maybe it was going to be closer, but not so much again.
I actually thought it would be a bigger win for the John Player Special. I sort of figured the John Player Special, in my mind, was the number one seed. And so it won with 2/3, with 67% of the vote. I was a little surprised. That mild 7, that Renault, that blue and yellow, I think there's something about that is really cool. So I could see why it got a third of the vote, but I thought it may have been a bigger landslide.
Yep.
And then we went into our first modern car. If you don't count 2009 as relatively modern for the Braun. The Williams British GP from this last year, which was my entry in there, and against another one that could be considered the top seed, the McLaren MP44 from 93, the famous Marlboro car that was driven by Senna and Prost and others. 79% for the McLaren, which I think we probably expected. 4/5 heading that way, so it wasn't too big a surprise. Did you think, Rob, that Did the British GP, was that a decent livery, or did it just go up against a world beater?
Went up against a world beater. I don't think it stood a chance. I think it could have beaten some of the other ones on here, had the draw been favourable. But like you say, you randomised it, and that's the way the cookie crumbled. This one surprised me because I actually thought we might get some recency bias here, just because we had the Lotus 65 Jim Clark kind of green and yellow. It's very simplistic, really. Green with a yellow stripe. Versus the Ferrari from Vegas in 23, which was a good-looking car.
Very good.
But more modern. I actually thought this was going to be close, but so basically, 74% to the Lotus. So good night, Vegas. You're out of here.
Yep. Exactly. And then we went to a more traditional Ferrari, the 2003, which is the great color of a Ferrari red just all over the car, and just a good-looking livery as a whole, against the Jordan, Benson and Hedges, Bitten and His's, Buzz and Hornets. We'll talk about that more in a second. And the Jordan won with 60%. So our first pretty close vote here.
It was. And we have to give a shout out. So on Threads, Double Waved Yellow, as he's known on Threads, came on and pointed out that we had made a huge gaffe in the image that we'd chosen. I say we, it was me. I Googled it. I Googled the Jordan 197, saw the first thing that had an eye at the front of the car and went, yep, that's a snake. I'll throw it on there. And it wasn't. We picked the Buzz and Hornets one, which is the other livery. They're very, very similar. But even with that picture, it still came through and beat the Ferrari. And for the next round, we will update it to have the snake, which has then got the nice little red on the top of the airbox. So it actually looks sweeter, I think, the snake. So we will... Thank you, Double Wave Yellows. We will have the right image for the next round. But I was shocked. I thought that iconic Ferrari of Schumacher with the writing on the rear wing. I just thought, that's a chef's kiss Ferrari. But two draws in a row, the Ferrari bites the dust.
And speaking of something biting the dust, we had a golf-on-golf situation at the next one. Again, the randomness of this was, I didn't even know this. Like, as I put it all together, I published the bracket, and I'm like, oh my God. We had the McLaren Golf of 2022, which was a pretty sweet livery, against the Tyrrell Golf Italian Grand Prix, or I think it was it was the Rondini 76, regardless. And it has the richer blue, and there's less sponsor tie-ins to it. And so the Tyrrell won, but again, getting closer, 59%. And it's the only, obviously, golf livery remaining after that.
Yeah. And then we had one which I know broke your heart, Brian.
Broke my heart, like in a million pieces.
We had the Williams of 1992, Mansell's famous Williams, going up against Brian's pick, the McLaren Senna Monaco livery from 2024, which was really sweet as well. And this one was really weird. All the others the votes have pretty much mimicked each other. We've done this across Twitter, Blue Sky, and Threads, and in the main, the votes have all tacked the same direction, with just the winner being by a different margin. This one completely split it. Threads seems to be a bit more McLaren fan based, and McLaren won on Threads. Twitter, I can't remember. I think it was close, but I think Williams edged it.
Yeah.
Blue Sky, maybe the clue was in the name of blue, which comes from the Williams livery, but they were Williams heavy. I think it trounced it something like 12 votes to 0 or something. Yeah. It absolutely kicked its behind. So, yeah, the Williams goes through, and Brian's Senna livery is gone. Sorry,
I'm
Brian.
very sad about that. I love that car.
And the last one, I've just been checking. I don't know if you've checked Twitter. I've just checked Threads and Blue Sky, and this is close. This could be the closest one out of all of them so far. If it keeps looking like this, we've probably got another 24 hours, I think, of the vote on this one. We're recording on Saturday, so end of Sunday, this will lock out. This is the just pure yellow Lotus from 1987, the yellow with the camel blue on it, and against the Jaguar R1, the racing green from 2000. And I thought Lotus was going to run away with it. I really did. But it is really close at the moment, like a couple of votes either way. Like across the Threads and Blue Sky, they're actually packing in slightly opposite directions. Oh. So, yeah.
Well, and the interesting part is, as we put the pool together for all of these different cars and versions of 16 that made the Sweet 16, a lot of you shot suggestions over, and Liz, now Lizzie on Twitter, formerly Lizzle Bizzle, she gave us the Jag as an idea. And that was my inclusion. I'd forgotten about it. And then as I was looking through the liveries, I'm like, this thing is, I remember this now. It's phenomenal. So look at it, taking on the Lotus. I thought that Lotus, I agree with you, that would run away. That blue camel on the yellow is just, I can see it in all the old videos, and it brings a happy smile. So
then just to kind of put a bow around this, then what that will mean is we've got some big matchups coming next week. So first up, I think, is going to be the Jordan 7 up against the Lotus John Player Special.
Wow.
I mean, with the fan base that the Jordan 7 up had, I don't know which way that one's going to go.
I can't believe the John Player Special could potentially lose in the second round.
I know. It's just, this could be 7-Up's march to all the way. Who knows? And then we've got the Jim Clark Lotus against the Senna McLaren. I mean, that's a big...
These are great matchups. I mean, this is
gosh,
unbelievable. And then we get the Jordan Bitten and Hisses against the Tyrrell Golf. I actually think the Jordan's going to advance there, if I'm being honest. The Tyrrell Golf ain't that great, if I'm being... Even though I put it in, I think it's going down.
I thought the modern McLaren Golf was going to take it, so that might have given the Jordan a bigger run for its money.
We could have two. We could have two Jordans.
People that vote.
We could actually have two Jordans facing off next if they both win. They would. No, they wouldn't be up against each other. They're on opposite sides, but you never know. You never know.
Yeah, and then it's the Williams to take on the winner of the Lotus or the Jag. I mean, my heart would say that I see the Williams cruising through whoever it comes up against, but that's been the beauty of this. You don't know. It's looking forward to it. So
yeah,
keep an eye out for those votes all through next week, and make sure you have your say. And please, 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 if you can, as well as voting, if you wouldn't mind hitting that share button, because that's the best way to kind of get it in front of other people's eyeballs and get them to play along as well. So we'd appreciate a little share on any of these votes if you can find it in your heart to hit the share button.
Totally agree. Rob, anything else before we close this out?
No, I'm good. This time next week, we will have seen the launch event, so we'll have something to talk about in terms of
Tuesday.
liveries.
Can't wait. I was going to say that. I was going to say thanks to Ben for joining us. Thanks to everybody for voting on the livery challenge, the Dirty Side Bracket, #February F1 Fantasticness. Don't miss the launch event this Tuesday where we get to see all of it and recap that, and we're working on some special guests for next week's episode. Everybody, be well, be safe, have a great week. Thanks for joining us.